And we're going to speak about total value and blockchain. The views I'm going to express are not the views of the Chinese government, who I sit on their committee on blockchain and cryptocurrency, nor of the UAE or Saudi Arabia or the UK. These are my personal views. So what is total value? You will all already be the subject of a total value assessment. Companies in the West like Facebook and Amazon and Google already track your sentiment, your non-financial values, in order to sell you more stuff. They do that through watching your Gmail, through looking at your WhatsApp, and that's how they transact. They follow data. They analyze your data. In China, based on some of our work, they have a social credit system where they watch your data in order to reward you, to allow you to go first class, or to allow you to go abroad, because they have a population of 1.4 billion people, and they cannot watch 1.4 billion people and respect individual rights. They also have 72 BRI, One Belt, One Road initiatives, of which we control a couple and we advise on a third. They're about $100 million each, and the third one is about 200 million. So in Europe, data belongs to the people, does not belong to the government. In Europe, we believe my data, my way, but of course, all it means is we click cookies on GDPR every day 30 times, it means nothing. So data is looked upon differently, but it's all encapsulated in the concept of total value. Some people call it sentiment analysis. Some people nowadays, it's called ideology in code. They codify your ideology. Okay, so at the moment, the world is going through a seismic change. You know, we know the pandemic, there's huge movements of Black Lives Matter, there's oil crisis, etc. I have to say, you know, we look to the West and the politics is a bit of a nightmare. We look to the East and we look to Far East and people are very afraid of China as a rising power. And then we look up north and we find actually people still don't trust the Soviet Union. But I believe this Middle East is where it's at. And we're launching something today because of that here. We are a think tank, about 1,000 staff, 170,000 members around the world. And we measure value, non-financial value, like love and happiness and hope, and we transact it using blockchain. And we deliver some very large projects, as you're going to find out. So why the Middle East? Middle East has a provenance in this area. Back in 1870s, Al-Farabi, who was a Persian scholar, an Islamic scholar, talked about the virtuous city. He designed a virtuous city. When Dubai was created, I'm sure many of you know that Dubai has a happiness ministry. It has a ministry of tolerance. These are new concepts that are not replicated in other countries around the world. The city that they're creating in Saudi, Neom, $500 billion. It's only 1 million people. It's not a city of money, of bricks and mortar. It's a new ideology. And even the Mars project that was coming in 100 years' time for UAE, it's a city where they're looking towards the new world where money is not the main instrument that creates it. So the Middle East has the heritage and provenance in this area. And honestly, it's time to be not so apologetic about the Middle East anymore. It's now time to act. If not now, when the rest of the world is in crisis, when, is what I say to you. So, why blockchain? Because although I hear lots of discussions about blockchain, and you know, blockchain is the movement of digital assets from A to B. Most people think of money or hard assets. They're like the blue part, like land and logistics and supply chain. But love has value. Hope has value. Happiness, the Ministry of Happiness has value. And these social movements have value. And blockchain is the only instrument that can actually capture this value and transact it.
Really check anything.
And that is why blockchain is key to the future of where we're all going. And yes, it has not yet, there is not one single example of blockchain out there that is scaled or sustainable right now. Bitcoin, 350 billion capitalization, it's a rounding error in finance. It's nothing. There is not yet a major movement, but we believe that blockchain will be it. And that is why the Chinese government, where we have 70% of all cryptocurrencies and blockchain patents in the world are Chinese, they consider blockchain, AI, IoT, and 5G as the fourth industrial revolution technologies for the future. So our focus has been on the measurement of non-financial value, the transaction using blockchain for governments, mostly governments, I have to tell you, and then the delivery of these projects. And so that is where we believe is the future of mankind and why blockchain is so instrumental in this. It's not a popular belief. You know, people believe that, for example, giving a dollar value to a non-financial value, I love you $4.50, isn't very exciting, right? You know, it's not very popular. Or the social credit system we developed in China is not very popular, all right? We're not saying these ideologies are right. We're saying these ideologies belong to that country. And that we are creating ideologies for UAE, we are creating ideologies for Saudi and other Arab countries to align their people to those values and reward them. Okay, so the most boring part is actually the stuff that you already know. How we do it, we have a variety of instruments. We've been developing this stuff a long time. The guy previously asked about what is cool and what is not cool. The only thing we've done which is cool, I was thinking about that when I was sitting in the audience, in case he asked me, and I hope he doesn't, because at 60 years old, I'm not cool at all in anything, is that the Vatican called what we do the God metric, the way we measure using data in milliseconds, love and happiness and hope. And that was back in 2015, 2014, and we came to dominate a sector in procurement and impact. I won't talk about this. We do work on Brexit, on frictionless trade for the UK government, etc., etc., etc. But these are normal standard instruments of blockchain. I guess this might be an interesting project we have in the Middle East, a total value stock exchange. If you're from the finance sector, you will understand that the PE ratio, the price earnings ratio, is the single metric in the world that is universally adopted to value companies on the stock exchanges. Every stock exchange in the world gives you price, yield, PE ratio. We developed the social earnings ratio, and PE plus SE is total value. So when we look at companies, when we look at people, we look at projects, we look at processes, etc., we look at total value. And to transact these things, we use blockchain. To measure it, we measure it. We actually coined the social earnings ratio, and that is what His Holiness the Pope called the God metric. Because it is about looking at everything in the round, not just its financial value. And now is the time, honestly, where just money isn't going to cut it any longer. We're all tired of that stuff. This kingdom here, they have always been visionary. Dubai was a vision. Dubai 2 is a vision. Countries allied to our visions, they're trying to change society. It's not enough to build this incredible palace, the city with bricks and mortar. They want to create a society with new values. In the beginning of blockchain, people talked about, Chris Larson from my colleagues at Ripple and the great guy Tom from Canada who talked about blockchain. They said it would revolutionize the social space. And then we just talk about money. Cryptocurrency, money, Bitcoin, money. Great. I'm not going to object to that. On our board sits Eric Good, CEO of Chair of Neom, Chandler Guo, who had $10 billion of Bitcoin, one of the biggest miners in the world. So I'm not going to criticize making money from it. But the biggest instrument that's going to change the world is because of its ability to measure and transact the non-financial value. And that is going to be blockchain. And in the time scale of maybe by 2030, United Nations SDGs. United Nations SDGs is the only one place where 160 odd countries agreed on an ideology. And you can codify that, and you can then transact it towards that. So today, I'm going to finish by saying, if there are anyone who's interested, we are launching a think tank in this area, an Ideology and Code Institute. We'd like to place it in Dubai. If you're interested, by all means, approach us. We started with a summit at one of our places in UK. That's just a clickbait, but that is ours, actually. So it's one of the colleagues of ours who owns that. And we'd like you to join because we're looking for great minds to join us in creating a new world. We are a small player, but we'd love you to join. And if you'd like to join, you won't be in bad company. We advise quite a lot of companies in the world. And we've been doing it for a long time, for about 12 years. So we're way before blockchain was created. We are a think tank. We're not for profit. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.